Well, moving on, the song I played was Thy Grace. That's a part two of it. And that is actually by Kofi Kinata. So we're moving on to take our good news for today.
Good news.
Good news.
Good news.
Good news.
Good news.
Okay, so I'm guessing a number of you out there use Wikipedia. Like it's something you're familiar with. I don't know who doesn't use Wikipedia, but I mean, anytime you search for something, the very first thing that pops up at the top is supplied by, or it's brought to you by Wikipedia. So then it's easy to actually just click and go read about it. And it's become a simplified form of getting information, fast, easy. It's something you can easily assimilate, something you can easily understand. But here's the thing. When you look at the information on Africans or African history or ancestry or culture, heritage and all, when you usually look at that, the problem there is that it's not written by Africans. So it's like you have other people telling our story on their platform. And so everybody goes there to search for Africa, there's Africa. You're getting it, but then you're actually realizing that, hey, it's not necessarily by us. Somebody has sat somewhere and they have thought that, hey, okay, I read this here, I saw this, or this is what I did in class, or this is what I thought, and then they just put it there. And then we all go pick it up, and then we all use it necessarily to say that for our own work, we all feel that, hey, it works for us, it's good for us. This is where the solution comes in. Now, Wikipedia themselves have noticed this issue, and they realize that it's going to be best if we actually have the people themselves telling their story. So then they decided to put out the application, and it's going to help if you have African writers telling the African story, because then you don't lose the essence of you couldn't leave it, you didn't leave it. There's one thing being able to read about something and tell it. There's another thing being able to talk about it from experience, to depict the aspects and the tiny and intricate details that may not necessarily find itself into the books or into probably mainstream media. And it's easy for somebody who has had the experience of going through it to be able to tell it, because then they have lived it. They'll be able to bring those nitty-bitty details to light. So that is what Wikipedia is doing. They felt like, hey, we're giving the people a platform, but we need to do the things right. So Africans are now being empowered to come, write, and edit Wikipedia articles about the countries and their cultures. If you've seen anything out there on Wikipedia about probably an African country or a certain culture of a group of people in a certain African country, and you realize that there's something here that is not right, you'll have the opportunity to go to Wikipedia, to go online and be able to edit it and submit the right version to them. Now, this they call the Wikipedia Africa Education Program. You can take the Africa out. The Wikipedia Education Program is to enable people be able to write about their countries, Africa, the whole continent, the countries found in Africa. Because, look, to be honest, we have a lot of people that are writing things for us when they don't even know, they have never lived it, they have no idea about what it is. And it's one of the reasons that we have Africa Global Radio, because look, we're here to change it. We're telling our own story. We're changing narrative. We're telling you how it is, not how they want you to see it or how they think it should be, but how it actually is. And Wikipedia, I'm happy, I think we can shorten it to WEP, the Wikipedia Education Program. So WEP is actually going to allow Africans to be able to come, edit the already existing articles about African countries or African cultures that do not sit right with the reality on the ground, and then also write new ones. So people who go to search on Wikipedia, people go to look for information relating to African countries or African cultures, will have the right information. They will not be misinformed or misled. So I think this is a great thing, and kudos to them for bringing up the Wikipedia Education Program. Now, in case you feel like, hey, okay, I saw something that's about my culture or something on my group and it's not cool, I want to change it, you can just go search for the Wiki Africa Education Program, the Wiki Africa Education. Wiki Africa is one word. WIKI, then Africa Education Program. Or you can look for the moleskinfoundation.org. Moleskinfoundation.org. That's MOLESKINE foundation.org, and you'll be able to submit your articles. You'll be able to let them know, okay, I saw this particular one, this is what it said, this actually is not what the case is, so we can change it, I can edit, and then we can put the truth out there. So kudos to Wiki Africa Education, kudos to Wikipedia. We hope this actually goes well to change and help in telling the real African stories out there. Now, moving on to our next story, this is actually coming from the South Africa Local Government Association. It's a partnership they actually formed with UNDP, and this was actually to help sustain small businesses found in South Africa. Interesting thing, this was done 2 years before COVID-19 actually came. 2 years before COVID-19 hit them. And when they actually signed this partnership and they were looking at creating this, it wasn't because, okay, we're doing this because something's going to happen. They did not even know that COVID was on the way. Little they don't know that COVID was going to make them see how important the partnership they had signed was, and then how much more they need to put more effort into it. So, Ms. Salga for short, South African Local Government Association, and they brought this about to help small businesses so they could sustain themselves, they could keep going. Now, they did have people who joined them initially when they actually signed the partnership in 2018, but then they didn't really see, when you see the need of why you've set up something, when you see it in action, they actually got that in 2020 when the pandemic hit. And I mean, it's not a pleasant thing, but we know when you come to Africa, South Africa is the most hit country. So, yeah. This was something that was like a breakthrough for most of those small businesses. Look, you had businesses that changed course, they changed focus, they changed directions. Businesses that they didn't know anything about nose mask or about facial. They had to change direction and start in that business. Some of them started sewing nose masks, some of them started making face shields and all that. Literally, it was the Salga partnership that helped them, that kept them, and it's still keeping most of them, because you get access to funds, you get mentorship, you get training, you get workshop. They really actually help these businesses. It's been like a lifeline to keep some of them afloat. And look, we've done stories here on Good News that we've had a lot of innovations, great innovations coming from South Africa. And Salga partnership actually has a lot to play, because they are like the engine behind what we see on the surface. So kudos to all the members and the executives of the South Africa Local Government Association, and then also kudos to UNDP for signing this partnership that we've seen the need for, even, years after they did. I feel we need to see more of this, and it helps. This is what I talk about. Create a conducive atmosphere for the private or the small start entrepreneurs in your country. Create a conducive atmosphere for them to grow. Because when this happened, somebody who was into fashion was like, wow, I'm not getting people to purchase because things are bad and times are hard. And then she went for it. It helped her. She changed her focus. She started sewing things, face shields, nose masks, and it was working for her. People were purchasing. You see, if the support is not there, it's difficult for the idea to even grow, for it to actually even be able to say, let me embark on it, because you know that you don't find yourself in an environment that works. So I'm just hoping that all other African countries will be able to emulate this, be able to sign partnerships. Even, you don't necessarily need an international body. You can do this on your own. Create funds. Put together forums to keep these people afloat and support them. So kudos to Salga and to UNDP in South Africa. Well, that's all we have for you for Good News for today.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe, and share.